Hi everyone, thanks for being here. Today's topic is talking to our data directly, building conversational AI with two tools. First is Fabric Data Agents and the other one is Databricks Genie. So first of all, how many of you have heard of or used Databricks Genie? One, two, cool. Fabric Data Agents? Cool. So I can say anything and you'll believe me. Okay. Fabric Data Agents used to be called AI Skills up until a few days ago when they renamed it. As Lars said, Microsoft loves to rename things. They renamed it at the FabCon, the Fabric Community Conference, and now it's called Fabric Data Agents, which is more apt of a name than AI Skills, as we'll see in a minute why. So there's just a little meme there. That in the future, AI will pass Turing tests, but humans will fail it. A little about me, I am a data and AI engineer at Arinco. I work with James and William who organized this event, so if you don't like me, they are the ones to blame. I attended the Global Bootcamp last time as an attendee, here this time as a speaker. And yes, I will fight anyone who says SQL is out or dead. It's very much here. And I see the irony in that given what my topic is, but yes, SQL is here to stay. Cool, just the agenda. Introduction, what the tools are about, why do we need them, what are the pros and cons of each tool, how do they compare with each other, and then yeah, just a little live demo if everything permits. So setting the scene, why do we need more chatbots? Like it seems we get more chatbot every other week. Like we have Clippy from a few years ago, now we have Copilot, and then GitHub Copilot and this Copilot, and then you have all bunch of different Copilots within Fabric, like Copilots for data warehousing, data science, machine learning, AI. Why did we need a separate conversational AI called Fabric Data Agents and or Databricks Genie? Like Databricks already has something called Assistant, which helps you with codes, notebooks, whatever. So why did we need a separate tool? And how are they different? So like I'll present a few scenarios here just to prove the usefulness of the tools that we'll discuss today. Like why do we need this? Like consider this scenario that you have a retail chain and they are considering expanding, and a few people want answers to these questions. Like the first one, regional managers need quick sale insights. Now you might have data analysts in your organization, but if your organization is small to medium, you might not be able to afford like 10 data analysts who will answer your questions at whim. Like if you want an answer that is not already present in one of your existing reports, to go through the whole process of requesting a report, getting the report approved, getting the report made, and then you have the insight in front of you, and you don't know SQL, so you cannot just query the database and get the answer for yourself. So what do you do in that case? How do you get that insight quickly? Like when they say data-driven decisions, how do you make data-driven decisions faster, quickly? Another scenario, store managers want product performance live. So now we might have seen at Woolies and Coles, they have live pricing, like the digital pricing tags. How do they have it? Like if someone wants answer, okay, what's the average buy rate of tier 3 onions at Woolies? How do you get that? You don't know SQL well enough to find that answer for yourself. Marketing wants real-time feedback, supply chain people need instant stock data, whatever. What do you do when everyone comes to you at the same time? If you are a data analyst, this is your nightmare. Another scenario, you are a small to medium tech startup. You have tech people, but your team is not big enough to sort of fulfill all your needs. So if the finance team wants to forecast revenue, again, they're a finance team, they're not the tech people of your startup. Product owners want to analyze user behaviors, what users are clicking on, what screen they are jumping from, whatever. How do you get this data quickly? Another one, healthcare provider network. So you might have seen with Monash Health or Royal Melbourne Hospital, they have this live Power BI reports which tell you the average waiting time. Like when you walk in there, the average waiting time is 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. But that's a set report format. What if you wanted another KPI, another benchmark, another answer that's not included in the report? you can't go build the report then when you want the answer. So that is why we have something called data agents and or Databricks Genie, depending on which tool you are using or which tool you want to use. So what's the difference between, like, what's the core difference between these tools and the co-pilots that we have? So like assistants, GitHub Copilot, Windows Copilot, Azure Copilot, whatever. What's the main difference? So the main difference is the tools that we'll discuss today, the Fabric data agents and Databricks Genie, they're very customizable. You can customize them, you can sort of train them, so to speak, with your custom prompts, custom instructions, and sample queries. Whereas the co-pilots that you have, they only have like the local context window. So in the previous session, we saw that if I'm chatting with ChatGPT, only context that ChatGPT has is what I provide in that chat window. It doesn't know, like I can't give it overall instructions, overall examples or whatever, right? So that's one key difference. Another is, the tools that we are talking about, they are standalone artifacts. So like you can have Genie by itself, it'll work by itself. You can have data agents by itself and it'll do its own thing in isolation. Whereas co-pilots are helping you do things in other things. So like as we saw with GitHub Copilot session, GitHub Copilot is helping you do things in your code. Databricks Assistant will help you do things in Databricks notebooks or whatever. But these tools, they work by themselves. So that's like, these are the two key differences. And the exact opposite stands true for co-pilots, is they are not customizable and they usually work with other things, not by themselves. So first, let's start with Fabric data agents, or like I said, AI skills as it was called a few days ago. So what is Fabric data agents? This is the official definition from Microsoft. It's a new Fabric feature that allows you to build conversational AI with your data sources. In other words, it's just a chatbot wrapper on top of your data. So it's like you are talking with your data, and hence the name of the session. You're talking with your data directly. What are the prerequisites for data agents? And some of these will change in the coming weeks, if not months. First is you need a paid F64 or higher Fabric capacity SKU. Now, for those who don't know, that's pretty steep. So like if I remember correctly, F64 currently in Australia, it's like 16,000 Australian dollars per month. So you need that just to be able to access this feature. But that is going to change by the end of this month. According to announcements at FabCon, they are removing all the restrictions for Copilot and AI capabilities in Fabric. Regardless of your SKU, you can use those features. But as it stands today, at the time of writing, you need F64 or higher to access Fabric data agents. And then the other are just your tenant settings, which allow Copilot, geo-replication, geo-searching, all those things. So you need to enable those settings to be able to use Fabric data agents. Like I said, Microsoft is saying it, I'm not saying it. They'll make it free by the end of this month. Not free, sorry. They'll make it available to all SKU by the end of this month. But as of now, you need F64 or higher. So how does it work behind the scenes? What does it do? When you ask a natural language query of Fabric data agents, it goes through these steps. Now you can read these steps, but I'll just summarize it in little detail. Is it parses the query, it makes sure it's safe according to the AI regulations, responsible AI structures, whatever. It identifies the data source that's needed to answer your query. It parses your query according to one of those three tools. So as you can see, one is natural language to SQL, other one is natural language to DEX, that's for semantic models, Power BI data sources, and the last one is natural language to KQL. So Custo Query Languages for Event House or ADX, Azure Data Explorer. How many of you have used Custo? 1, 2, that's nice. So it does that as well. So if you have real-time data sources like Event House, data agents will work with Event House as well. So if you have data sitting in your Event House, you can just ask questions in natural language query. It'll go fetch the data and bring the data to you. And then based on the tool that's selected, it generates the query, it executes the query, and then it returns the results to you in like a nice little format. So that's essentially what it does. Pros, why is this good? So it only does read-only things, so it does not generate, update, delete, insert queries. So you can be sure that regardless of what you ask or what someone asks of it, it won't modify your existing data. So like if someone asks that, okay, give me this data, but change this to that or add this to that, it won't do it. You can be rest assured. Another thing is it has access permissions to match the access permissions to the actual user. So if I have access to data sources A, B, and C, and if I ask a questions that require access to data source D, I won't get that answer. It'll match my permissions. It'll infer that this user has access to limited data sets, and this information requires access that he doesn't have, and my request will be denied. So that's another pro. And this is also true when you consume the last point. I find that particularly impressive, as Lars was just showing us that you can consume data agents using AI Foundry, Copilot Studio, Fabric notebooks, whatever. So the permissions will still apply when you use it outside Fabric settings. So even if you use it from AI Foundry, it still applies. If you don't have access to that data set, it will use your Entra authentication. If you don't have access to a data source, you will be denied. Now, what are the cons? First is this feature is in preview, so please do not use it in production settings, goes without saying. Another is you can't add more than 5 data sources at the moment. So if you have like 10 lake houses, you can't have all 10 lake houses in the same data agent. You can only add up to 5. I'm pretty sure they'll remove that restriction or at least extend that in the coming weeks, months. Another is it doesn't scan unstructured data sources. So if you have a PDF, a CSV, text, JSON, images, whatever, data agents do not work with those yet. One is it doesn't understand non-English language queries. So you can't query in Spanish or any other languages, which Databricks Genie does, by the way, we'll see in a second. And you can't change so unlike GitHub Copilot where you can choose that, okay, use Claude or use GPT-4, GPT-O, whatever, you can't do that with data agent. It decides which LLM to use to infer the question, parse the query, bring the results. You cannot choose that. So these are the cons. Let's do a live demo. Cool. All right. Cool. I need Wi-Fi, obviously. Sorry about that. Cool. All right. So this is the Lakehouse data agent. I've attached a Lakehouse here. We'll see how to create one from scratch, but I've already created one here. Let's try creating one from scratch. So this is my folder where I have a Lakehouse, Event House, already 2 existing data agents. Let's create one more. So it's as simple as go to new item, data agent, and then just give a name. Demo data agent. Cool. You add your data sources. So let's say I want both. Let's just start with Lakehouse, add. It'll validate if this Lakehouse can be added to this data agent. And off we go. And now you can select, this is another nice thing about it. So even if you have one Lakehouse which has like 50 tables, you can have 2 data agents with different tables running on the same Lakehouse. So if you have a finance team and a marketing team, and if you want them access to different tables, different data sets, you can create two data agents with different permissions, different data sources, and it'll work accordingly. So you select what tables you want, and then I'll just click on get started. Cool. And then you just ask the questions of the data you have selected. Now, going back to the agent that I already have, Lakehouse data agent. So now, as you can see, I'm using the sample AdventureWorks. Just a second. Lakehouse data agent. Oh. Something is wrong. Data source has been renamed. Oh, who renamed the data source? Oh wait, just a second, I think I know what's happening. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Remove, yes, add lake house. Cool. I'll just select the tables I want: account, customer, date, product, category, promotion, sales, reason. I'm just selecting tables at random. And that's it. Now, another good thing about this is it allows you to extend the data agent by letting you prompt engineer it. So you can feed it custom instructions regarding your data sources or just how to behave in general. I've given it quite lengthy instructions here that this is how you infer the hierarchy of the product and the dim product. How do you calculate date, context, what are the geography and territory, tables, whatever. And then once that's done, then I am also telling it how to explain the results, what filters to suggest, whatever. So you can have that. And it allows you to train it further by giving sample SQL queries. So you can have sample questions along with sample SQL queries for it to learn from. So when you ask another question, it refers to your data sources, your instructions, and your sample SQL queries before coming up with a SQL query of its own. And you can export and import JSON lists, which is another nice feature. So I just imported 4 sample questions and 4 SQL queries. And done. And once you have tried it locally, so let's just ask a sample question. Cool, hope this works. How many orders include more than 5 products, for example? All right. Cool. There are 25 orders that include more than 5 products. And it analyzed it, and here's the SQL query that it came up with. Count distinct sales order number where order quantity greater than 5. Now, obviously, whoever wanted answer to this question could not come up with this SQL query on its own because they're a non-technical person. But you ask the question here, and it answers you. That's essentially the offering that Microsoft's giving us. Let's try another question. Cool. How many orders were placed by repeat customers versus first-time customers? Oh wow, can't believe it worked. Cool. So repeat customers, 16,000 orders, and first-time customers, 36,000 orders. Now you can see the value in this tool that someone from business team, they want answers to their questions quickly. They can just come in here and ask questions in natural language and have their questions answered without worrying about, okay, when will the analyst team create a report for me? When will I get this answer? When will I get this report approved? Whatever. Direct hotline to your data. So going back to the slides. Cool. So the recap essentially is you need to ingest your data. Now in this example, I ingested the sample AdventureWorks Lakehouse. It's available for free on Microsoft GitHub. Just type AdventureWorks Lakehouse database. It gives you like whole heaps of tables with good quality, good amount of data. You need to scale your capacity up to F64. Again, this restriction will be removed in the next few weeks. Create a data agent, attach your sources, select the lake houses or KQL or whatever, select the tables you want, add custom instructions and sample queries. I cannot recommend this step enough. Even though it's not mandatory, I think the product team should make it mandatory. Like you should not be able to have your data agent without custom instructions and sample queries. It just makes the results so much better. And test it with a few questions, and once you're verified, just publish it, and you're done. Cool. Now, cool. All right, I don't think we'll be needing this. Any questions for Fabric Data Agents before we move on to Databricks Genie? Yes. Yeah.
So can you add an agent to an agent?
Sorry?
Can you add an agent to an agent? So as a source, add an agent or two agents. So they will kind of be under umbrella of one agent. So you want to kind of manage other agents while having one agent as a root, or like something to manage the whole agent things.
Yeah, so the question was, can you add agent as a source to another agent? The simple answer is no. You can only add 3 types of things: lakehouse, KQL, lakehouse or warehouse, so your relational sources; KQL, so your real-time sources; and semantic models. These are the only 3 types of things you can add to your data agent, not another data agent. Good question. Any? Yes. You're next.
When it becomes more available so you can put more data into it, how do you know you can trust the results? Because if you have really big database, and especially if you're not technical, how do you know you can trust it?
So that will always be in question, and anytime any AI system gives you an answer, it'll always sort of have a disclaimer that this is AI generated, please verify, whatever. So yeah, and even if you are chatting with like Chatbot on any commercial website, it'll have that disclaimer. So I guess there's no 100% guarantee ever, but yeah, I think the more people use it, the better it'll get. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes?
Is it available in the southeastern region? Sorry. Is it available in the southeastern region?
That is a good question. I'm not sure. The answer is no, not yet.
No, because the Genie isn't either, I don't believe.
Yes, so I think
Yeah.
that's a secondary
There you go.
region in Australia. Everything goes to the other region first. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Follow-up question, right? Can I use it for any data quality purposes as well? To enhance my data quality. Right now, I don't know what's there in it. So it's giving me, I can't trust it, right? That's where. But is it a way I can use this agent to provide some data quality? Example, deduplication, those kind of things.
So as in you get your data from source A and then you compare it with results from data agent?
Yeah, so example, right, if I'm getting my data from source A, and then I run an agent on it, right? Can I use that for some deduplication? It's one of the most common problems we see with data, right?
Yeah, I think this is targeted at non-technical people. So like, yeah, I don't think data engineering is an intended use case of this service.
Yeah.
So like if you want to do deduplication or streaming or whatever, I don't think this is the service for that. Yeah. Any other question? Yes.
Should I ask a question?
Yes.
Now you explained about the data agents actually only be able to query and no other deletions. But if you look at the back office stuff, and if you look at the access log, what is the user context that has been accessed that data? Can we look at that you access it, or is it an agent access it? Like when the query is actually run and executed, and if someone wants to see who accessed this data in the logs, of course in the SQL logs or whatever the data source, if it's logged, the user context, is it you access it or the agent access it?
That's a really good question. I'm afraid I don't have the answer to that, but that's a really good question. I'll try and find the answer and I'll put it up on LinkedIn or wherever, or in the meetup, but that's a great question.
Yeah, we worked.
So the question was, if the agent runs the select query, does agent's service principal or whatever identity goes under that select query, or does my identity as someone who's running the agent goes under that query? Great question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. Yeah. Any other question? Cool. Before we move on to Databricks, I'll actually also show you the demo of how the data agents consume real-time data. So like KQL database with Event House. So this is another data agent, Event House data agent. I've added Event House. Again, this is also from the sample data of the NYC TechC dataset. I'm sure many people are familiar with that dataset, sample data. And as you can see, I've already asked it a bunch of questions. Rank the days of the week in order of the least busy to busiest for the last month. It couldn't do it. And then which day of the week is the busiest? It couldn't do that as well. But you can see it tried. It came up with KQL query on its own, but it couldn't figure out the relationships. And this is where custom queries, like the sample queries and data instructions will come in handy, where you can sort of overload it with some context. Yep. Moving on to Databricks Genie. Cool. What is Databricks ABI Genie? It's similar offering to data agents, but from Databricks instead of Fabric. That allows business teams to interact with your data for non-technical people. Again, not aimed at data engineering or any of the technical stuff, just people who do not have the SQL or Python competency for them to be able to get access to their data. What it does is, unlike data agents, which uses a single model, it uses a compound AI system, which is very unique to Databricks. You can Google Databricks compound AI system and you get like a nice little blog, which goes into the detail. So when you submit the question, it parses the request, sees it, it decodes it, rephrases it in its own language, and sees what data source it has. Now the benefit of this is, because it's in Databricks, it has that inbuilt governance layer of Unity Catalog. How many people are familiar with Unity Catalog here? Yes, cool. So it has that added benefit of governance and security settings passing through. Am I out of time? Am I out of time? Oh, cool. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so it has that added benefit. And these are the things that it looks at before answering your query. We'll also see live in a demo. But these are the things that it looks at. When you ask a question in natural language query, it looks at the table metadata. And again, everything is stored in the information schema of Unity Catalog. So that's what makes it like great right out of the gate. And you'll just see how much better it is than Fabric data agents in a second when we see the demo. So pros, the first pro is it doesn't need F64 or higher. So it's much cheaper, like just this feature by itself, it's much cheaper than Fabric data agents, at least the way it stands now. Another is, like I said, it inherits the permission and governance settings from Unity Catalog. So again, the same thing applies as data agents. If you don't have access to a catalog or table in Unity Catalog, and if you ask a question that requires access to those things, you'll be denied. And this is, I feel, something that's really lacking in the Fabric data agents, is it auto-selects a smart visual. So rather than giving your answer in a simple table, it creates a chart for you, and it auto-selects the type of chart based on your data. So if your data requires a stacked column chart, it'll select that. If you need a simple bar chart, it'll select that. So that's a great feature. And another pros is REST APIs for Databricks Genie can be consumed outside Databricks. This is not available in Fabric data agents, as we'll see in a second when I do the comparison. REST APIs for data agents can only be used from within Fabric notebooks. I'm sure they'll open it up to outside environments, but as of now, it cannot be used outside Fabric. Cons. This feature is in preview. Again, same as data agents, do not use it in productionized settings. And you can't change the LLM that the Genie uses, just like data agents. You don't get to select that, okay, use O4, O3, Claude, whatever. Cool, live demo again. There we go. All right. Oh, I'll just start the warehouse. That'll take a second. Meanwhile, again, the same process as data agent. When you create a new, you go to Genie, you create a new Genie space, and then you create a Genie space, it asks you to select the data sources that you want this Genie space to have context of, and it'll only be able to answer questions. It'll only be able to answer questions around these data sources. So as you can see, again, I have the same AdventureWorks table there, customers, address, product, whatever. As you can see, it doesn't have the table of promotions. So if you ask any questions about promotions, it won't be able to answer that because it doesn't have that data. It's not looking at that data. And again, instructions, it supports markdown instructions. LLMs love markdown, so use markdown instructions to better prompt engineer your Genie space. And just like data agents, it also supports sample SQL query. So you can see I've added 7-8 sample questions along with SQL queries. This will help it ground itself with some extra context when it tries to come up with its own SQL queries. Let's look at some answers. Which products have never been sold, for example. Oh, looks like the data warehouse is up. Cool. Monitoring. Oh, there we go. Go to conversation. So it's coming up with the query, and then you'll see what it does behind the scenes. This is the SQL query it came up with, and then these are the products that have never been sold. And if I, where's the other question? Just a second. Questions. Cool. There's a question that tricks it. I'm hoping they might have fixed it by now. This one. Cool. And new chat and submit. So what are the top 3 product categories by order quantity? Let's see. Now it automatically knew it had to look at the product category and the product table. And here's the result. These are the 3 categories that are the top 3 in terms of order quantity. Going back to the presentation. Recap, just like data agents, you create the Genie space, you add your data sources from your Unity catalog, you add custom instructions and sample queries, you test it with a few questions, and you don't even need to publish it, it's already live. Cool, I don't think we need these, demo worked. And yes, so this, I saw this blog where someone, again, this is in Spanish, I think it's in French, yeah, cool. But someone created a Microsoft Teams integration using Genie. So like now imagine access to your data right from within Teams. So like your retail team, finance team, marketing team, whatever, they can ask questions directly to your data from within Teams. This is not supported of Fabric data agents yet. Like I said, Fabric data agents can only be consumed from within Fabric as of now, but Genie allows this. So yeah, this is a nice little use case that someone came with. Cool. And yeah, Genie bot demo. I don't think we have time for that. Any questions? Oh, cool. I will show the demo then. Cool. So this is the Python app that is powering, okay, I'll just switch to light mode so it's better. Just a second. Cool. And run this. Cool. All right. So this is the Python app. This is using the Databricks Genie SDK. And this one here, Genie API. This is the bot framework emulator. It will connect to that app that's running locally on my machine. And now I have access to the Genie app, Genie API outside Databricks environment. And you can imagine the versatility of such a tool where you can integrate data from Databricks, from CSV, you have your Azure Cognitive Services, AI Foundry models. You can consume data from all your sources, have it running in one bot framework, and get answers to all your questions right from here. So if I ask a question, same question here, how many orders, whatever. Cool. So now while it's sending the question or whatever, we can see it's doing the same thing that we did manually using the API. So if I go to history, you can see it created this question, how many orders were placed, whatever. This was created now by the API. And first time customers 32. It returned those results and it says first time customers 32, and it also gave a nice little description. This currently is not possible using data agents. You cannot use data agents outside Fabric. But yeah, this is a nice little use case. And the same app was further like integrated into MS Teams as the screenshot that we just saw. It's the same app. But you can just Google Databricks Genie app and you'll get this. It's free. Any questions on that? Cool. That's it. Just a little comparison. Fabric only, you can have a KQL database. It offers a published endpoint that you can consume from API. It supports Fabric notebook integration and AI Foundry integration that Lars mentioned in his first session. It offers a C# SDK and a JavaScript SDK, which Databricks does not. With Databricks, like I said, it has that smart visualization. It creates bar graphs, stack, column, whatever. Fabric doesn't do that. You can only get a simple table, no charts or visualizations as of yet. And Databricks supports drag and drop CSV file upload. So in your Genie space, you can upload a CSV that you have locally and ask questions of that CSV. And if you remember, one of the cons for Fabric Data Agents was it does not support unstructured data sources yet. And both have, obviously, the core offering is this Q&A style natural language processing. Custom instructions and simple SQL queries, both of them allow it. They both have Python SDKs and REST APIs, and they're both in preview.
Do you know when they're going to come out of preview?
They only announced public preview of API like a month ago, so I think it'll take, like for Databricks Genie, and they recently rebranded data agents, so I don't think they're coming out of, but Fabric features are coming out of preview very fast. So yeah, I think the more the people use it and fix it and give feedback for, the faster it'll be. But yeah, there are no official announcements. Yes?
Does it also the access permission? What does it?
1 second.
Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, just a second. No, good.
so for the access permission of the for users or things like that, that's where Databricks does something.
For Databricks?
Hmm?
Yep. The question is, does Databricks manage user permissions?
Yeah, the access permission. Like
Yeah. Like I said, Unity Catalog is baked in there, so it carries down that permissions. So if Unity Catalog has 10 tables, you only have access to 5 of them. And if you ask a questions that requires the other 2, which you don't have access to, you'll be denied. So the permissions and governance, that's, I think, the key offering of Unity Catalog, that everything is baked in, governance, security, permissions, and it gets carried down to your Genie spaces. Yeah. All good? Any other question? Cool. Thank you. That was me.